Peace, family. It's your brother, Marc Lamont Hill. Welcome to the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel. Today is day 109 of Israel's war on Gaza. And of course, we're going to continue to cover everything that's going on that corporate media is ignoring, everything that the mainstream media is neglecting, all the stories, all the demographics, all the developments that we think you need to know in order to keep track of what is turning into one of the greatest humanitarian crises in modern history. Everybody, as you come into the room, and I see y'all coming in from all over the world, I just want to thank y'all for coming in. Drop in your name, drop in your location, drop in your city, your state, your country, just so we can know where you're coming in from. Hit that like button. Also, smash up those likes. It allows us to let the YouTube algorithms know that you care about the content that we're giving out here. But I'm going to get right into it because we don't have a lot of time today. Some updates from today, Tuesday, January 23rd. The Israeli military fired artillery shells at the headquarters of the Palestine Red Cross Society in Khan Yunis, which again is in the southern region of Gaza. That is according to the PRCS. Today they announced that. Israeli media reported that Israel is offering Hamas a 2-month truce in return for a phased release of Gaza captives. Now, of course, this offer, one, needs to be confirmed by Netanyahu and the Israeli government that it's actually happening. Second, a 2-month truce is a long time, and it's also a short time. It's a way to get the Israeli hostages home, which is their primary concern, and it's a way to allay the concerns, the anxieties, the fears, the frustrations of Israeli citizens who are not happy with the failure to get hostages back from the Netanyahu government and from the military. And so they've been protesting in Tel Aviv. They've been demanding a change in government. They've been calling for the ouster of Netanyahu. And so Netanyahu's hand is being forced here, but he's also being stern and saying, we are not going to negotiate a ceasefire. We are not going to negotiate an end to this. He said, because to do that would be to have our troops to have died in vain. He's basically saying, we're going to stay in this until all of Hamas is destroyed. The problem with that, of course, is they can't destroy Hamas. They don't have the military might, the reach, the know-how, the technology, all of it, right? I mean, you're talking about tens of thousands of troops potentially, and only a few hundred have been killed. And obviously, as you continue to bombard the Gaza Strip, you're not creating fewer modes of opposition. You're creating greater ones. You're not fomenting anger and hatred against Hamas as much as you're fomenting anger and hatred against an Israeli military that's destroying the Gaza Strip and committing genocide, according to most human rights, so many human rights organizations, many governments, and many legal minds. So, with all that said, if Netanyahu's not going to agree to a ceasefire and he has to do something to get these captives home, it sounds like a 2-month truce might be the way that he can save face by still looking tough with his right-wing comrades and right-wing supporters, while still appealing to the liberal Zionist wing of the government and of the citizenry that wants something different to happen. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But at this point, just speaking for myself and no one else, I am very, 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 very overwhelmed by the amount of death, the amount of destruction, the amount of devastation. And a 2-month truce is not the final answer. It's nowhere near the final answer to this problem. But if I could just have a night where I don't wake up to the news of more Palestinian death, more women and children killed, more babies killed, more innocent civilians killed, more buildings collapsed, more irreplaceable artifacts and monuments razed. If I could just have one day like that, I would feel like the Palestinian people are getting some relief. So we got to think this through, but I think that's what's going to be on the global community's mind. On Monday, the United States Supreme Court decided not to take up a lawsuit brought by the JNF, that's the Jewish National Fund, against the U.S. Campaign for Palestinian Rights. The Center for Constitutional Rights gives us that information. Apparently, the Jewish National Fund had alleged that the U.S. CPR was providing, quote, material support for terrorism for activities including the BDS campaign, the BDS movement, and the 2018 Great March of Return in Gaza. That is great news. The U.S. Supreme Court didn't take this up because there was no grounds to take it up. To say that the Campaign for Palestinian Rights is somehow supporting terrorism because they want to support a principled and organized nonviolent resistance movement, BDS, and a non-violent demonstration, the Great March of Return, which led, by the way, to the killing of so many Palestinians who were literally picked off like birds by Israeli snipers as they marched toward Israel's non-defined boundaries. So that's a sign of victory, a legal victory for justice here in the United States. German shipping group Hapag-Lloyd announced on Monday that it's going to continue to reroute its vessels around the Cape of Good Hope in response to Houthi attacks on Red Sea vessels, while also implementing land corridors through Saudi Arabia to minimize the impact on business. In other words, companies are moving around. Companies are saying, look, we're not going through the Red Sea. Houthis aren't playing, and we don't want them kind of problems. This is what happens. Now, as the circumnavigation occurs, as they start to have to go around the Red Sea, go around the Cape of Good Hope, if they're going to have to cut here and cut there, it's going to cost a lot more money. That money is going to be a frustration for the companies. The companies are going to appeal to the government. The government is going to have to make a decision. And by the government, I'm talking about the United States government right now, because the United States government is not only attempting to strike the Houthis in the Red Sea, but they're also obviously supporting the bombardment in Gaza, which is the predicate for the blockade that the Houthis are producing in the Red Sea. In other words, the Houthis are saying, we're going to do this until there's a ceasefire. And the U.S. is saying, we're refusing to publicly call for or support a ceasefire, and we're continuing to support Israel with money and guns and political support. And we're going to strike the Houthis down. So, hopefully the economic pressure that might be placed on these nation states might produce a different outcome than the moral argument or the political appeal or the humanitarian cause, because that ain't done much. All right, real quick before we go, Israeli forces killed at least 65 people in attacks on Khan Yunis yesterday, according to medical sources. 65, that's a big night, even for this awful war. As we go into January, 65 is becoming a big number. The World Health Organization, the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies have said that they are, quote, deeply concerned by reports of intense shelling in the vicinity of El Amal City Hospital in Khan Yunis on Sunday. These organizations, and again, it's funny, the Red Crescent Society, the International Federation of Red Cross, the WHO, these should be seen as neutral, objective, humanitarian-driven organizations, but the Israeli government has said, they just hate Israel. And so they've sort of neglected to engage their findings. They've dismissed their concerns and their calls, but let's be very clear. These organizations are saying that the destruction that's happening at a hospital is way beyond the pale. It's way beyond the pale. And that is that's the crisis here. The argument from the Israeli government, of course, is, well, we have to do it. We have to do it because Hamas is hiding underneath. That's been the argument from day one, right? That Hamas has command centers under hospitals, that they hide in civil society, they hide in plain sight. And because of their commitment to hiding, we have no choice but to destroy these hospitals, which are no longer protected sites, but they've lost that status due to the fact that they've become military sites. The problem is the Israeli government continues to not produce any evidence that this is true. They continue to fail to demonstrate that it rises to the level of a protected of losing the protected status. Karim Abu Samra, thank you for your generous contribution. Karim, is this Karim? I'll reach out to you. Karim, are you the Karim who I spoke to on Instagram the other day? If so, please drop me a DM. Please send me a DM on Instagram. I want to reach out to you. I want to post the link to your GoFundMe, and I want to support you in some other ways. So ممكن تبعت لي رسالة تبعت لي DM هلا علي خليك. Yeah, Kareem, I'm not seeing it. You're right. You sent it you said you sent it. I haven't seen it. If you could send it right now, also send, yeah, I'll look for it, but just send it to me right now. Or also Kareem or Alice, can you send me a DM as well if you have his contact? For some reason, Kareem stuff isn't popping up for me. I don't know if he's blocked on my page because of some IG stuff. I don't know the answer to that, but something weird's happening because I couldn't even see his post when he was live with me. All right, y'all, we're going to keep rocking real fast. The Israeli Air Force said on Monday that it struck Hezbollah infrastructures and observation posts in the villages of Leda and Itaron in southern Lebanon. Also on Monday, Hezbollah said that it fired rockets at a gathering of Israeli troops around the town of Evan Menachem, achieving, quote, direct hits. What we're seeing in southern Lebanon, what we're seeing in northern Israel, what we're seeing with Hezbollah is a sign that this is growing into a regional scale conflict, not just targeted in Gaza, not just targeted even in the West Bank, where we see night raids and killings of Palestinians by Israeli troops, as well as by settlers. We've seen raids, attacks, fires, home demolitions, but we're now seeing the Red Sea. And then, in addition to the Red Sea, we're now seeing this, the southern region of Lebanon. Once we begin to see this kind of expansion, again, it should be grounds to push for a ceasefire. Instead, we're trudging ahead with the status quo. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but we must figure something else out because this ain't working. Israeli settlers stormed the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem on Tuesday under the protection of Israeli police. Sadly, I've been in Al-Aqsa Mosque multiple times when this has happened. This is a dangerous situation. One, the desecration of Al-Aqsa Mosque is itself a problem. It's an affront to Palestinians. It's also political provocation that they know leads to the kind of escalations that cause more violence, but also more destruction of Palestinian property and Palestinian lives. This is a devastating thing. We need to talk about that. We need to be honest about that. A couple more quick points. France's Foreign Minister Stephanie Séjourné will chair a UN Security Council ministerial meeting on Palestine at 2 p.m. New York. In fact, it's happening right now as we speak. The council's 15 members have been unable to agree on a draft presidential statement before the meeting. When the EU is starting to pivot and the UN Security Council is starting to grow some courage, you might see a different outcome. I'm not sure what this statement is going to be, but I'm hoping that the signs are encouraging. We want to talk about Brett McGurk. Yesterday, we talked about Brett McGurk agreeing to meet with Israeli and Palestinian leadership, traveling to Egypt as well, and heading to Qatar later this week. What Brett McGurk, by the way, Brett McGurk is a senior advisor to President Biden. It seems to me that the Biden administration right now is attempting to sell the 2-month humanitarian pause or the 2-month truce to the Middle East and ultimately to Israel. This is the Biden administration's way of saying, Netanyahu, you're dead wrong. But we're not going to show any daylight publicly, but we are going to push and advocate for any solutions that take you your hands off the button, as it were. So this is going to be an interesting set of developments. Anyway, family, I got to run, but I wanted to give you all a quick update. Want to show y'all some love. Iram, thank you so much for showing some love and reaching out as well. Thank you for your generous donation. Everybody, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. We got to run, but keep the comments coming. Keep the energy coming. We got to continue to cover this story. We got to continue to talk about what it means for there to be a war in Gaza for 109 days. We got to get to the details and press for a peaceful, diplomatic, fair, and just solution. That's what we're going to do here on the channel. Hit the like button so the algorithms know you love us. Hit the subscribe button so you can get updates on the channel all the time and help us expand our reach. Of course, if you're so inclined, you can hit the join button too, become a monthly subscriber to the channel just by hitting that join button. Doesn't cost much. And of course, if you want, you can donate directly to us simply by going to Cash App and hitting the MLHTV. Go to Cash App and send any donation you want. No amount is too small to MLHTV. These donations and support help us build the platform, expand our reach, bring in new voices, and improve the technology that we use. I want to thank you all for joining me, and I will see you later. Peace.